Hello and welcome to our Brenau University webinar, Your MAT, Everything You Need to Know. Thanks everybody for joining us today. My name is Dave and I'm going to be moderating the discussion today. Thanks again for joining us. And like we say, this is all about Brenau's Master of Arts in Teaching MAT program. And when we say everything, we mean everything. As we go through our time together today, we're going to talk about the MAT, why get the MAT, how the program itself works, especially that combination of online and student teaching, who teaches your MAT courses, when you'll get your teaching license, what it's like earning your MAT online. And so lots of great content that we're going to go over today, and I'm going to introduce you to our speakers here in a little bit. You're also going to have a chance to get your questions answered live. And so at the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A icon. And so you can click on that at any time and type in your question. You don't have to wait for the Q&A portion to ask your question of our panel. Anytime you see something that you're curious about, want to know more about, go ahead and click that Q&A icon and let us know what's on your mind. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to your host for the day. We've got three fabulous members of the Brenau team with us today. We've got two on the, we have one on the enrollment side. Greg Benessi is an enrolling manager for Brenau University. We also got Tessa Satcher. She's a success coach. And so Greg works with students from the time that they first request information, they first want to know more about the MAT or any of the programs at Brenau, and helps prepare them to get their application going, helps be kind of a go-between for financial aid questions and basically anything else that's needed to help that student to get registered. And then Tessa's with students from the time they, right before they begin classes all the way through to graduation. So Tessa can help when times get tough, just to connect you with different resources that are available, be your cheerleader, your support system, and help connect you with people who can help with any issues that you have. So Greg and Tessa, glad to have you. We also are pleased to have with us Dr. Kelly Brockson. She's the chair of the graduate programs and an assistant professor of education at Brenau University. And so she's here to talk about kind of the curriculum side of things and about the program itself. And so we are so very glad to have each of you here today. And the reason we're doing this, can you believe it's August already? It's incredible that we're in August. And so classes are starting in, 3 weeks from today will be the first day of classes at Brenau University Online. And so our coaches, Greg and Tess and others, are available to help. Obviously, we understand with COVID-19, there are lots of questions about going back to school and kind of why now and what can I expect. And so there are some entrance exams, requirements, other things that we've deferred to help streamline that application process. And so we'll let you know as we get closer to the end how you can connect with a coach and talk through your specific situation and how we can help you to get started on time on August 24th. So be on the lookout for that at the end. And so with that, I am going to turn the time over to Greg to get us started talking about the MAT specifically and to answer the question, why get your MAT? So Greg, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, David. So if you take a look at your slide there that you can see why get your MAT, this program is primarily designed for those looking to change their career and go into the world of education. And right now in the state of Georgia is a great time to be exploring that option. As you can see, more than 7,000 additional teachers are projected to be needed by the state of in the state of Georgia by 2026, which is not too far off, especially given the time it takes to be in the program. And also going in with a master's degree, teachers with a master's degree make an average of more than $7,000 per year nationwide. So there's a lot of great reasons to take a look at the MAT program here just in general. Why do it at Brenau? We've been preparing educators for the classroom since 1878 now. I know we promised there wouldn't be any math as part of this, but that's a really long time, well over 140 years that Brenau University has been preparing educators to go in the classroom and do their thing. So you're going to get a great education into a field where you're going to be needed in the state of Georgia. Just a ton of tremendous reasons why to get your Master of Arts in Teaching program and to do it here at Brenau. A little bit about how the Master of Arts in Teaching program works, and I want to make sure that that you have some of this key information as you move forward looking at the program. You need a bachelor's degree, but it does not have to be in education. In fact, the majority of our Master of Arts in Teaching program, our students, do not have a bachelor's degree in education. They have it in another field and they're changing over to education, looking for that opportunity to become a certified teacher in the state of Georgia. The classwork that you do is 100% online. So you will be able to do that out of the convenience of your home. It's still college classes, it's still a curriculum, you're still going to have a professor, syllabus, due dates, all that stuff, but you're going to do it online, which is something that is obviously beneficial today with everything going on, but has been beneficial to our MAT students since day one. The student teaching is still in person. We want you to get the best experience possible to become a certified classroom teacher, and so you need to have that in-person student teaching, but the classroom experience is 100% online. Our coursework is 7 weeks long, so we take the semester and break it in half. So you would have classes for 7 weeks throughout that semester time frame as you work towards your degree. And you can graduate from this program in 2 to 3 years. Now, a bachelor's degree in education is going to take you at least 4 years, if not longer. But the Master of Arts in Teaching, you can graduate in 2 to 3 years, depending on the program you select and any prior coursework that you have coming in. And that 2 to 3 years includes that in-person student teaching.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for being part of the webinar. Earlier, as stated, my name is Tessa Satcher, Success Coach. And so who teaches your MAT courses? Well, here at Brenau, you all are taught by experts, and they have an abundance of teaching experience. And for most of them, each over 30 years plus. And so if you do the math, we're talking just keep adding 30 years times our faculty advisor. And in addition to their teaching experiences, they all have served or are serving on various national and local educational associations. Your faculty advisors are also your professors. Having your faculty advisors and your professors will allow you to gain and have more of a rich experience here at Brenau. Most importantly, you were taught by individuals that genuinely, genuine with a capital G, that can, and again, with a capital G, that's about, and that they are so concerned and genuinely about your education experience as well as we all are. So again, starting with the enrollment side of it, and I will be with you from the beginning, the middle to the end, and even afterwards, when students are graduates and they come back as alumni and they connect with all of us. And so I encourage you all to please visit the Brenau's intranet and review all of the faculty and staff that are part of the College of Education. In addition to the faculty and staff, in addition to the faculty, our staff are wonderful as well, and they have an abundance of experience. So we have Jill Goforth and Joyce Wilson. Jill Goforth is she's the Director of Clinical Experiences, and Joyce Wilson, she's the Assistant Director of Clinical Experiences. And again, both of them have a knowledge and wealth of experience being in that department. And we also have Gladys Harvey Peterson. She is academic coordinating guru, and she knows everything about the College of Education. So again, welcome, and thank you for being part of this webinar.
All right, thanks so much, Tessa. And so we'd like to take this time to talk through some of the different experts that Tessa mentioned who are going to be part of the program with you. And again, we're fortunate to have one with us, Dr. Kelly Brockson is chair of the graduate programs. And so, Kelly, I know we worked together on a video earlier this year where you talked about kind of what your inspiration was for teaching. And so, would you mind sharing that story again? I just thought it was so genuine and so kind of inspiring to me about what first interested you in the field of teaching.
Oh, good morning, everyone, or it may be the afternoon by now. Happy to meet everyone and happy that you could join us. I often get asked this question about why I wanted to go into teaching, and I will tell you that you can ask 100 teachers that question and you'll probably get 100 different answers. And it never ceases to amaze me about the different stories of why people decide to go into education. For me, it was a long time ago. I was actually 5 years old, and Santa Claus brought me a chalkboard for Christmas. And when I woke up that Christmas morning and I saw that it was a big chalkboard. He brought me this big chalkboard and I started teaching my stuffed animals and my dolls, and I just never stopped. And I knew from that a year on that I wanted to be a teacher. And I was lucky enough that I never questioned that. I knew from a very young age that I was going to be a teacher. I never went through that period of what do I want to do when I grow up, and how do I bounce around, and how do I spend my time? I just knew. So it was one of those things that I was lucky enough to know. But that's my story. Your story is your story, and however you get there is okay. The point is, you're here because you want to teach and your interest is there. And that's what we want to capitalize on. And that's what we want to get you to the next phase. What's it going to take to get you in the classroom? What's it going to take to get you in front of the new chalkboard, which are the whiteboards or the tablets? It's not the chalkboard I was in front of. So let's get you there, and let's start your story, so that when people ask you, why did you want to be a teacher, or when did you know you wanted to be a teacher, you've got your story there.
Kelly, that's great. And particularly in this program, just kind of the benefit of this program of, even if you got your bachelor's in something else and you've got that spark, that desire to want to teach, it doesn't always have to be when you were 5 years old. It can be, now as you started a career, maybe in a different field, and you're like, I just feel this pull to teaching. And so I thought that was a great point. And so I'm hoping that we can tag team as we talk through the different, people that these online Brenau students are going to meet as they go through their program. Just talking about more of the experts that are part of this program. So right here, tell us a little bit about, I'm sorry, is it Dr. Bromer? Bromer?
Yes.
I want to make sure I get her name right.
Yes, Dr. Bromer. Dr. Bromer is an expert in early childhood. She is an advocate for the relationship between the teacher, the child, and the family. And she is quite the instructor in helping students understand that there's this triangulation between the school and the home, and that relationship that ensues from there. And she speaks on numerous national and international conferences, back when we could travel, on the importance of that family relationship and very young children. So she's our early childhood expert.
All right, that's good. Tell us a little bit more about Dr. Eugene Williams, who is the Dean of Education at Brenau.
Dr. Williams is our Dean of the College of Education. He has been a teacher, a principal. He's been an athletic coach, a football coach. He will often relay stories about coaching. If you've never been a coach like me, you kind of have to act like you're interested, I just nod when he starts talking about coaching. But he's a very smart man. He is one of our experts in middle school education, particularly in math. And he has such strong leadership, school leadership experience because of his years as a principal. He does a lot with school improvement and helping to mentor, particularly male teachers that come into education.
All right. That is great. Great all-around experience, like you say. One more colleague that we'd like to have you tell us more about is Dr. Lisa Mccoy, another one of your colleagues in the College of Education.
Yes,
tell us a little bit about her.
Sure. Dr. Mccoy has a breadth of experience that we call upon. She is one of our literacy experts, both in elementary and middle grades. She also has a background in ESOL, English speakers of other languages, and as well as social studies. She is very much an instructor that teaches actual instructional strategies, a little bit more than the theory She'll help students understand the instructional strategies that you choose, how you're going to teach the content to the students that are in front of you. She's a well-versed methods teacher.
That is great. And so hopefully for all of you attending out there, you get a sense of the breadth and depth of experience that you have access to as an online student at Brenau in this MAT program. And so Kelly, thank you so much for bragging about yourself and your colleagues a little bit. We really appreciate that. I'm going to turn the time back to Greg now. Obviously, all of this is geared, and all the expertise and all the people that you're going to interact with, that shared goal is to help you get that teaching license, become a licensed teacher in Georgia. So I'm going to turn the time back to Greg to tell us a little bit more about how that process works.
And it's a great question, and one that I'm glad we're covering here, because I want to make sure you understand exactly how your teacher license works. Brenau's Master of Arts in Teaching degree prepares you to become a certified teacher to teach in the state of Georgia, and that certification comes from the Georgia Professional Standards Commission, the GAPSC. So Brenau will not hand you a license to teach, or a certification. That will come from the GAPSC. Your faculty, your advisors will assist you with that process all along the way. So you will not graduate from this program blind to the certification process. You will graduate from the program very knowledgeable to the certification process and what steps that you need to take. Also of note is that our graduates, our MAT graduates, have a GACE pass rate of 95 to 100%. So any of the exams that need to be taken towards the end of your program and as you work on your certification, our students are highly successful in those, thanks to the preparation that they receive as part of this program. So just to kind of sum it up there at the end, our program doesn't hand you a license, however, it does prepare you for the license and to have that issued by the Georgia Professional Standards Commission.
Awesome. That's great. That's great, Greg. Thank you. We talked a lot about kind of who you'll interact with throughout the program. And now I'm going to have Tessa talk about the how, kind of what is it like to get your MAT online? What are those online classes? What are those online classes going to be like? And just kind of what you can expect as you progress through the programs. So Tessa, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Dave. As Dave mentioned earlier, I am and will be your success coach, and I thoroughly enjoy, I like to use the word space, SPACE, and I am meeting so many people, and the stories that I hear are awesome, that they send so many chills up and down my spine. And I also wanted to add, when Dave mentioned a little bit about myself, I also like to consider myself the nosy neighbor. Meaning, which is a good thing. I'm into your business from when you're starting with me, in the middle, in the beginning, and even after you've completed this program. Listen, I thoroughly enjoy where I am, like and being in this space. And so as I meet with my students, I often will ask, and I get so many stories, and I compile a list and to say, and some of my current students. So if you will, just bear with me. Some of the tips in being an online student. You must be well organized. You must be proactive when completing assignments. You have to be disciplined. And as I say to my students, education is not a one size fits all. So what I mean by that is that when you're in this program, you're going to make it work for you, because we're all coming to this different space. You all are coming to this different space with life obligations. You're working in the home, outside of the home, and you're now wanting to become and get your MAT degree. So everyone's coming with different things in their world. So no education is one size fits all. So the tips that I'm getting, you must be disciplined, find out what works well for you and stick with it. And sometimes you have to make adjustments, but if it's working well for you, stick with it. Here's another tip. You must maintain fluid communication with instructors, which is what I share with my students in the very beginning. And I currently serve all of the education students where, people are seeking their associates, graduates, or MAT students, and I give them the same advice. But maintaining communication is very critical. Communication, collaboration, and you connecting, and whether it be, you got to make sure with your instructors. I'm hearing this from my students, and most of and if not all, your faculty advisors, they are your professors. So you get to know them really, really well. So that communication is key. You want to maintain communication with me as your success coach as well. Another tip, you got to demonstrate ethical and professional online behavior. Another tip, utilize all available resources, library, online tutoring, math spa if needed. And let's see, another big thing, this format works well for all graduate students. And again, listen, you got to make it work for you. And my biggest thing, the big C, the big three C's, communication, collaboration, and connection. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tessa. All great points. And so again, there's a wealth of resources that are available to online students as you progress throughout the program. We're also having another webinar on Wednesday to meet kind of your online support team and be introduced to more of those resources. So if you haven't already registered for Wednesday's webinar, we hope that you'll join us there. And so we're about ready for our Q&A portion. And so if you joined us a little bit late, that's just fine. There's a Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. You can click that and submit your question. We already got some questions already, so thanks to those of you who have asked already. Just real quick before we get into that, just a reminder that classes are coming up soon, 3 weeks from today, August 24th. And so we are more than happy to help address your particular situation and do whatever we can to help you get ready for classes starting on that date. And so please give us a call at 888-539-8215 or send us an email at success@ags.brenau.edu. We'll put those in the chat as well so that you can copy and paste those things and let us know how we can help you, how we can support you in your journey. So with that, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And so Greg, Kelly, and Tessa are all available to help answer your question. Like I said, we've already gotten some questions already. I'm seeing a couple questions about student teaching. Greg, that was something that you brought up. And so I'll start with you. And then Kelly, any other kind of color commentary around the student teaching requirement, we'd love to have you have. The first question comes from Michael. And Michael asks, will in-class student teaching take place in my county? People probably liking to stay close to home, especially with COVID and wanting to feel like they're safe and local in places that they know. And so, Kelly, I see you nodding. So, is that something you can address for us?
I think two things. Short answer is most likely yes. Most likely, your student teaching can take place in your county, but it is up to your county. And here's how that whole process is handled. Your very first class that you take is a course called Introduction to Teacher Education. And in that class, you're going to create a clinical placement plan. And that clinical placement plan is done in concert with the clinical placement office. And you're going to plan out all the places you're going to want to do your field experiences and leading up to your student teaching. And the way it works is that you will offer the clinical placement office 3 different choices that you want to do these placement experiences and your student teaching. With 3 different counties you want to do your placement experiences at. And I even think you get to say which schools you would like. Now, here's the trick. The PSC requires that you satisfy different criteria. So you need to, the clinical placement office will have to ensure that you satisfy all the criteria that the PSC requires. So they're going to take your request and they're going to make sure you satisfy everything for the PSC. And then they're going to say, hey, is this okay with you? And then they're going, you and the clinical office will create your plan. And so that's how it works. They're going to do everything they can to get your first choices, but you have to satisfy what the PSC says. But they do exactly, they get you as close as they can to exactly what you want.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for that, Kelly. And so, Michael, hope that was helpful for you. And again, we've put the phone number and the email address in the chat. And so, anything more specific that we can do to support you, please let us know. But thank you for that question. Speaking of student teaching, I see another question come in from Katie. Katie asks, how many hours of student teaching are required? So again, trying to meet those PSC standards, get that teaching license. How many hours are required? And so, Kelly, what insight can you give us on that?
It's not hours, it's 14 weeks. It's one semester of student teaching. That's what's required.
Okay, so 14 weeks. Excellent. Thank you so much. Seeing a question from Tiffany. Greg, I'm going to send this one your way. How much is it going to cost to finish the program, and do you offer scholarships? Greg, what would you have to say to that one?
So great question. The program cost overall is dependent upon the number of credits you need to complete. With our MAT program, you have multiple concentrations that you can study, and those concentrations come from a range of credit hours. So to give you an example, the Master of Arts in Teaching and Secondary Education program, depending on prior coursework that you have completed, can take anywhere between 45 and 48 credit hours to complete. And the program carries a tuition cost of $742 per credit hour. So the overall tuition amount is based upon the number of credits that you need to complete. Now, in terms of offering scholarships, every student is obviously has the ability to apply for scholarships and utilize that for their education. Federal financial aid is also available to all of our students in the MAT program at the graduate level funding, which is $20,500 of aid available to you in student loans per year. This program is also eligible to apply for the TEACH grant, which is a grant that is available for Georgia education students and can also help with funding part of that application towards your program. So there's a lot of different options to pay for school while you're in the program, and some of them grant money, some of those scholarship money, and some of those loans that would need to be paid back as well.
All right, that was great, because yeah, I saw another question about, you know, what financial aid can students in the MAT program get, and so I thought that helped address that. Thank you so much for that. Kelly, we had a follow-up from Michael asking, is EdTPA required? I know this is something you and I were talking about as we were preparing for the webinar today. So how would you answer that?
Well, guess what? EdTPA is no longer required, effective July 1, 2020. So right now, there's a sweet spot, because rumor has it that the state of Georgia is in the process of figuring out what performance-based assessment they will create to replace the EdTPA. But they're nowhere near that right now. It'll take them a couple of years to do that. But we anticipate that the state of Georgia will create their own version of something like the EdTPA. This is the sweet spot. This is the time to come in. You will, in order to get licensed to teach now, you need a degree in education, which Brenau will give you. You will need to pass the GACE exam, your content exam. That will get you a teaching certificate. The EdTPA is not required right now. You need to come in now.
All right. Again, yeah, kind of strike while the iron's hot, like you say. So thanks for that. Tessa, I've got a question for you. And you know, something you obviously help students as they progress through their path. One question I'm seeing come in is, can you double up on classes and take 2 at a time? What would you recommend to someone who's considering that, Tessa?
Well, and listen again, as I stated earlier, education is not a one-size-fits-all. And prior to, you all will meet with your faculty advisor to discuss your course recommendations. And after you've gotten your course recommendations, and of course you want to stick with that because that is recommended by your faculty advisor now. However, if you're one of these people that, you know, you're gung-ho and you're wanting to tackle and add on more classes, My suggestion, again, education is not a one size fits all. If you are able to, and you want to always, first of all, connect with the subject matter expert being your faculty advisor, if it's anything outside of your course recommendation. But if you have life obligations, you're working in the home, outside of the home, no matter what's happening, if you're able to do it, you're able to do it. You want to consider finances as well. You don't want to get in such a hurry that you will be overwhelmed mentally and physically in finishing the program, because you will get there. But it does, in this graduate program, any graduate program, it takes a lot. It is a lot of work. I don't sugarcoat it, as well as to be expected, because you're now matriculating to a higher level of but if you're able to do it, you do it. But the first point of contact will be to discuss it with your faculty about, and of course you want to always keep me as your success coach in the loop so that we can have those conversations and map out a plan. But for me, it's important that you don't become overwhelmed in trying to finish it faster than what has been recommended. But it's doable. I've had a student, I've worked with some students, they've tacked and added on several classes and they got through it. They almost pulled most of their hair out, but they did it. However, again, education is not a one size fits all. We'll have those conversations, but it's very important that you connect with your faculty advisor prior to adding anything additional to your schedule. That's critical in communication.
Can I add?
Yes, Kelly, please.
Thanks. I would like to add on to that. Tessa is absolutely correct. This is your journey and you need to decide what's best for you. If you want to accelerate it, you can accelerate it. If you want to slow it down, you can slow it down. But there is a program rotation, and that rotation is designed so that you're getting information that will prepare you for the next class. So if you go out of rotation in an accelerated fashion, you may miss some of the prerequisite knowledge that we think you need to get for the next class. So there are a couple of options for that. You can take classes in the summer that we might offer, and that will get you ahead. That's okay. And I also want to caution you that I think it was Greg that somebody was saying earlier that our classes are 7 weeks long, and that's true. We take a 14-week semester and we divide it up into 7-week sessions. Okay, well, so you may think that you're taking a 7-week class and gee, that is great. I'm taking a shorter class. I'm gonna not have as much work. Let me reframe that for you. You are taking a 3-hour graduate level college class in 7 weeks. So you need to be mindful of that when you're thinking about accelerating your program. It can be done. Lots of people do it, but just be judicious and think about what your other responsibilities, both personal and professionally, are. And if you think you have a semester coming up that's relatively easy for you and you want to tackle another class and it's offered, go ahead and do it. No big deal.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks, Tessa and Kelly, for that. One last, we got time for one last question, and I think it's a good kind of follow-up to what we just talked about. Question says, I've never studied online before. What types of assignments does an online MAT student complete? And so, Kelly, you were just talking about, hey, these are online courses, but they are graduate level education courses, and so there's an expected amount of kind of rigor that's there. So, give us an insight into the types of assignments that online MAT students can expect.
Well, there's a variety, thankfully. The courses are divided into a couple types of courses, depending on what kind of knowledge we need you to have. Some courses are theory courses, theory of education, and some courses are methods courses. How do you teach? So in the theory courses, the more typical assignments are going to be more research-based and understanding the theory behind the content. whereas the methods courses are going to be more active learning and understanding the strategies behind how would you impart that knowledge to your future students. But across the board, our program is based on your engagement. It's based on you being a part of a learning community, and that is we try to replicate what you're going to be a part of in a school that you're going to be teaching in, which is a learning community. So we want you to dialogue with your future peers. We want you to dialogue with your future colleagues. We want you to talk to future teachers. We're going to have you discuss with your classmates. There's a lot of active engagement on your part. That is a myth in online learning, that you just tick off a bunch of tasks and you're done. That's not it. That's just passive learning, I guess, even if you could call it learning. This is active engagement. It's required, and you need to expect it. And I hope that you enjoy it, because when you get into a school, you're going to be required to sit down at a table with your fellow educators and lay information out on the table about what's happening in your classrooms and in your school at large. And you're going to have to deal with problems, you're going to have to deal with issues, and you're going to have to talk about it. That's what we're going to have you do in your classes. Those are the kind of assignments: written, talking, communicating, collaborating, you name it, as long as it's getting you from behind that computer screen, talking to your colleagues, your peers, and your instructor. It's going to happen.
All right. All great stuff. Thank you so much, Kelly. And thanks also Tessa and Greg for all of your answers. And thanks to all of you for the questions. These are really great questions and a really excellent discussion. So just one more time before we leave, once again, thank you so much for the privilege of your time and your attention today. Our next start date is 3 weeks from today, August 24th. And so let us know how we can help you. We've put the phone number and the email address in the chat, 888-539-8215, success@ags.brenau.edu. And so one last plug for our next webinar as well, your online dream team. So introducing you to more members of the Brenau support team, as well as other resources that are available to support you throughout your online program at Brenau. And so I've put the URL to the registration page for that webinar in the chat, online.brenau.edu/webinar. And so we hope to see you there as well. So once again, Greg, Kelly, and Tessa, thanks so much for your time and for your sharing your expertise with us. Thanks to all of you out there for attending today. And we look forward to seeing more of you and helping you on your online MAT journey. Stay safe and have a great rest of your day and week. Take care.